volunteers to help. I remember last year finding it not only very fun, but also very rewarding. So that was great. Sorry, I forgot the date.
I think it's June 14th.
June 14th.
Yeah. It's a Saturday.
If you're interested in helping, let me know after the presentation tonight, and I will take your name down on something because I forgot that. But I'll take your name down so that we get you on the list. Also, we've arranged for a day trip in Prince William Sound again, like we did last year. We have a sign-up sheet up here, so if you'd like to do it, it is, I have May 9th on here because that's when I'm supposed to do it. When is it? June 29th. The total cost is $290. The club is gonna pick up the 3% credit card fee, so don't have to worry about that. So it's $290, and there's the deposit's $245.
Oh, it's 145.
145. So
I wrote it down wrong, and then June 15th, we'll send you another invoice for the balance.
Okay.
And it's due then or before then. We'll send it out before then.
also, Rarefied Light is still open for submissions if you're interested. And it's through Cafe Call for Entry. Go on that and just search for Rarefied Light. There are postcards out there. If you didn't get one last month, then grab it this month. So anybody else have any announcements? Okay. Oh. Yeah, sorry.
Glenn, are we on?
Yeah, you're on. Yeah. I probably picked it up.
All right, hey guys, if you have not seen one of Gayle's talks or presentations, you're definitely in for a treat. If you have seen one of her talks or presentations, you know this is gonna be great. So tonight we get to hear from Gayle. Gayle got her first SLR camera while in high school. After spending time with her father, she's had a long career as a biologist and enjoys documenting the natural world with her camera. She loves to travel and experience natural and cultural diversity. And tonight she's going to talk about her trip to Borneo, the threats of conservation efforts in regards to the forest and wildlife. Without further ado, I'll hand it over.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was with my dad was a photographer, and he taught me. We spent a lot of time as I was growing up, me with my little point and shoot, and him with his SLR, and then he had a dark room set up in our basement, so I learned from him. So it's kind of been one of these things that has kept me close to him, and it means a lot since he's been gone. Anyway, so I do want to give a little bit of a explanation on the topic tonight because as Corey mentioned, I am a biologist, and I'm also a photographer, and something that has come across to me in workshops or other photographers have mentioned that I should try to meld the two passions together. And I started doing that 2 years ago. I did a talk up in the Bear Gallery in Fairbanks on the bears of McNeil River and combined bear behavior and photography, and it seemed to go over pretty well. This is getting into more ecology and conservation. I hope it works. I'd be interested to see how you all think if it works. And I did take a lot of the sciencey stuff out for the non-science folks in the room. But little bit of an outline, 3 questions I always get when I tell people where I'm going. And then I want to talk about some photographic challenges just being in Borneo and having a malfunctioning camera. And then get into the heart of it, talk about the ecology and conservation of Bornean wildlife and talk about the rainforests, and then highlight some species and then show some photos of everything that that I'm highlighting. So the first question I always get when I say where I'm going is, where the heck is that? And for Borneo, I kind of can, I have a pointer. I kind of have I had a pointer. Oh, there it is. There's definitely a, not everybody knows where Borneo is. So it's kind of hard to explain. I tell them, you know, you have this little island. If you go south of China, you've got this kind of island group there where Indonesia and the peninsula are. And anyway, that's Borneo right there. Big island in the middle. Borneo is the third largest island on the planet after Greenland and New Guinea, and it consists of 287,000 square miles. The human population is 23,053,000 people, and growing. And 3 different countries are governed on Borneo. There's 2 Malaysian states, Sabah and Sarawak. Indonesia is most of the island, and then Brunei is this small area. We stayed in Sabah. So why go there? Well, my answer to that is why not? It's someplace new and different, and there's lots of things to see in the world besides your own backyard. But some people do that. Can you see that? Just Adobe flashes up here. There. Oh, Glenn.
Oh,
No, I got it. I got it. There we go. So it was an interesting story. About 4 months after I got back from the Brazil trip that a bunch of us in the club took back in November of 2022, I was trying to figure out where to go next. And I had gotten on a mailing list for Gayle Photography. They had done a presentation for us during the pandemic. And I missed that presentation, unfortunately, but I did hear from a bunch of people who really liked it. So I decided to get on their mailing list, and lo and behold, there we go. Lo and behold, I got this email. The first part of it highlighted their Africa trips, and then the second part was not really Africa, but close enough. And the first thing that I saw was the orangutan, which I thought that would be really, really cool to see an orangutan in the wild. And then I read a little bit more about it and decided that it was good. It was a good time for me to leave work for 3 weeks or so. And so I reached out and put a deposit down right away. The next question is, what's there? Kind of goes with why go there. But honestly, Borneo had not been on my radar, but after reading about it, it seemed like it was a good place to go. Borneo, 2 of the 3 countries that exist on Borneo are 2 of the 17 megadiverse countries on the planet. So a megadiverse country is one that this is awesome, a slide. Okay, so anyway, it has to have a high amount of biodiversity, including a high number of endemic species, which means that they're only found within that country. It also has to have at least one marine ecosystem within its boundaries. Yeah, this is not working at all, Glenn. My notes are gone. It's fine. I think I can do this. So what's there? There's 221 land mammal species, and these are some of the highlights. There's 673 bird species, and 59 of those are endemic. There's 1,500 plant species. Many of those are endemic, including one of the 2 types of corpse flowers. So I'm going to talk, those are one of the ones that I'm going to highlight. And then there's 450 reptile species, 100 amphibian species, 394 fish species, 20,000 insect species estimated, and 500 species of spiders. So there's a lot there to see. And what's really, really cool is that it's home to the planet's most ancient rainforest. It's second in age behind the Daintree in Australia. These rainforests are 130 million years old, and some of them are primary, which means they haven't been logged. So they are really, really cool. See if this, yeah, see, I'm not getting any of the notes. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. Ah, great. Always reboot. That's the way to do it. Not reboot, restart. Okay, so before I go any further, though, there are some photographic challenges in Borneo, and I'd like to talk to you about them a little bit. First and foremost was my own problem. As many of you know, and probably many more of you don't know, I was having a lot of trouble with my camera. I bought a Sony A1 in 2022, and I'd had nothing but trouble with a $6,500 camera. Finally, Sony, after fighting with them for 2.5 years, they did replace the camera, but it took a lot. I was about to file a small claims case against them, and I think they kind of got that as I was sending them all the information. So anyway, I got a new camera, so hopefully that works. But during the 17 days I was in Borneo, I had 5 different camera malfunctions, including the camera didn't always write to the card. There was a shutter problem. That took a while to figure out, but that was one of the ongoing issues for the 2.5 years I had the camera. The monitor stopped working, so I was limited to the viewfinder, and I'll explain in a minute why that was a problem. And I was shooting video, and it overheated and shut down within 2 minutes. Nobody else with an A1 was having these problems. So I lost photos, I lost opportunities, and I lost my patience. But it's all set now. I did get photos, so I'm happy. The other thing is, this is kind of a challenge for everybody. The rainforests are very dense. If you've ever been to the Amazon or any rainforest anywhere, they're dense. This was exceptional. I've been in the Amazon in both Ecuador and Brazil. I've been in Central and Central America. I've been in the jungle in Rwanda, and this was the hardest. It was dark in the foliage. It was hard to see the critters that were up there. The guides, as in most places, have these great little laser pointers, and they go like this, and they say, "See my laser?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, go up, 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 up." And you go up, and they stop about 2 feet below what they're trying to show you so that they don't hit the animal. And they say, "Go 2 feet above it," and that's the orangutan. Okay, the orangutan is that big shadow within the other shadow areas. Got it. So I would point my camera up there and hope the autofocus worked and hope it got something, but that's the beauty of shooting in RAW, because you can get it back in Lightroom and open up those shadows, and wow, there's an orangutan. I saw it better on the picture than I could in reality. So not in every case, but it was interesting. The other thing was the heat and humidity. Borneo straddles the equator, and so it's really intense tropical heat. The days we were there, it was between 95 and 105 every day, and near 100% humidity. I was hot. I was having a hard time with the heat, and I haven't had that kind of trouble with the heat in other places I've been. And so I was drinking a lot of water, but I was just thinking, man, I'm getting old or something, because I'm just not handling this well. And I was going to bed early just to get into the air-conditioned room. But a few days, oh, more than a few days, almost at the end of the trip, I tried this. This is called 100 Plus. It is a carbonated electrolyte drink. And it was like a magical elixir that brought me back to life within minutes. And from that day on, I had at least one can of that a day, and it made all the difference in the world. I had never needed to take electrolyte supplements before in any of the places I've been, but it was pretty hot and humid here. The other problem is the cameras. So we all know that when we're out in the winter and we're outside shooting and we bring our cameras in, it fogs up, right? Well, this is just the opposite. We go from the air-conditioned room out into the hot, humid air, and it fogs up. But the problem is we're not home for the night. We're out trying to shoot things. So I took the advice that was given to me, which was to keep your camera gear in the bathroom with the door closed, because the air conditioning is not central air. It's just a wall unit it's not like North American air conditioning. You're not going to get cold in there. You're just going to be comfortable enough to sleep. I thought of you. But if you do that, then the camera doesn't, it's warm enough and humid enough in the bathroom that you don't have that problem. One person didn't do that. And the day we were shooting, they were photographing the gibbons. She was standing there waiting for her camera to unfog. She did manage to get some photos after about an hour. The other thing you could do, some people chose to leave them outside on the decks of their rooms. They're like, we were in like little cabins most of the places. The problem with that is there's macaques, and those are monkeys, and they're like the raccoons of Borneo. They are into everything. And I didn't want to do that because I was already, as much as I'd love to have like had my camera be stolen and get it new one on insurance, being in Borneo was not the place for that to happen. So I kept it in the bathroom, and it worked great. With the humidity though, even when it wasn't raining, this is what we started almost every day with. So we had to wait. Some days we had to wait for it to burn off, or mostly burn off. But it did make for some cool lighting, just not great photographs. And then there's the rain. I have some video of that. I mean, it's tropical rain, but it was heavy. It was amazing just how much water the atmosphere could hold and then release all at once. And even like here, if I'm on the edge here inside, I was still going to get wet because it was just coming in. Okay. And rivers would go from, well, streams would go from small streams to raging rivers within a single rain event. These are our cabins in, when we stayed in Taven Wildlife Reserve, and this was a small stream. And we watched it come up and up and up, and I was just like, I wonder if we're gonna still have a place to stay tonight. I did put my faith in the fact that those cabins have been there and have, to my knowledge, not been washed away, and I chose to think that everything would be fine. This river was a small stream when we got there. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, so before we get into the heart of Borneo, I want to just give a few definitions for folks who might not be familiar. IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and it is the authority, the global authority on animal and plant status, whether or not they're endangered or vulnerable or extinct. They do publish a red list for, they think they've got 35,000 species or something in it. But anyway, this is the red list, and it goes over here. We have everything from not evaluated or not enough data. Over here is either extinct and wild or extinct. We definitely don't want to see that. And then everything in between. Least concern is where we want to see things. And then near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, and then extinct. not good to be towards the extinct side. The other thing I want to mention is CITES. This is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. And this is a global authority regulating the trade of, as of now, 35,000 species of plants and animals. Make sure that it's not there, that this trade is not going to threaten their survival. CITES Appendix 1 lists all species that are threatened with extinction, and they get the highest level of protection. So I'm going to mention both of these throughout the rest of the presentation. I mentioned the rainforests. Borneo used to be 100% forested. Right now, 57% of the land area is lowland rainforest. So these are below 1,000 meters in elevation. They're tropical rainforests. Mangrove swamp forests are at the coast. Peat swamp forests, heath forests, and dipterocarp forests. Dipterocarps are very tall hardwood trees that are logged for resin and lumber. They're high quality wood. And then the rest of the island is the montane rainforest. Those are above 1,000 meters. They are cooler. I went up there once. It was wonderful. I even put on a jacket. They're cooler, but they still get a lot of rain. So they get more things like pitcher plants and rhododendrons and orchids. There's fewer bird species up there, but more of them are endemic than in the lowland elevation. Okay, so status and threats of the rainforests. Deforestation has happened at an alarming rate. 50% of the rainforest has been logged and is gone between 1973 and 2015. That 1973 is not an accident. We know that because in 1972, the first Landsat satellite was launched. Landsat is it gives us these Landsat satellites orbit the Earth at different locations, and we have a 53-year continuous data set of satellite images that cover the planet. And what we can do with that are these maps. So this one is from 1973. The green is where it's forested. The gray, it's already been deforested. Between 1973 and 2010, this red area has added to the deforestation of the island. And then if we want to get into it a little bit more in 5-year intervals between, well, except for the first one, between 1973 and 2000, all that yellow area was deforested. In the orange, you can see there's some orange spots here and there in some of these other colors. That's between 2000 and 2005. The red is between 2005, 2010. And the fuchsia is between 2010 and 2015. The dark green is intact forest in 2015. So there's a lot. I mean, look at the difference between this area and this area. It's alarming. So what are they doing? The governments of Borneo, the 3 governments, are very serious about conserving what's left. Currently, 31% of the land area is designated protected areas between national parks, conservation areas, and wildlife reserves. They all want to conserve the wildlife that's there, but they also understand that to conserve the wildlife, you have to conserve the habitat. The other problem is that the lowland rainforests are particularly vulnerable to climate change. So, you know, it's not all, they're not out of the woods by a long shot. One particular conservation effort is the Heart of Borneo. All 3, this is, I actually found the initiative contract online, so I thought that was kind of cool. All 3 countries have signed it. And basically, they are trying to preserve the remaining forests. They want to preserve the biodiversity. They want to support local communities and promote sustainable development. And they have to do those last 2. You're never going to be able to conserve the biodiversity without supporting local communities. So that's something that we've learned. So the next series of slides, I'm just going to let it run through, and these are the some of the photos that I took within the rainforest. There's only a couple of landscape ones. It's so dark and dense there that it's hard to take landscape shots. I do like the roots and the vines on the plants by the rivers. I spent about an hour trying to get a picture of that because my camera wouldn't focus on it. I did it manually. The night safaris I found easier to see things because we had a flashlight and we could just, we were focused on what we could see. And those are a couple of scorpions fighting. King cobra. Yeah, we were in a boat. They do lose people every year to crocodiles. People fishing on the riverbanks. That is a stork-billed kingfisher. So I knew a lot of the names, I've forgotten them, and I didn't put them on the slides. So I'll just kind of chime in when I know them. And that's another kingfisher. It did some. Yeah, I was having trouble with my flash.
Flashlight works.
Yeah, I did. I actually at night I was using the flashlight to take pictures, and some of them came out really good. I was surprised. I see the bird there. They kept going in there. I thought there was nectar, but there's seeds in there. That is a black and red broadbill. And this is a spider hunter. I just don't know which species it is. This is one of the many sunbird species.
How big of a lens do you have with you?
Just two. I had a 24 to 105, which I didn't use much, and then I had the 200 to 600. Bee eater. It's another broadbill. He's got a cicada in his mouth, but it's hard to see it. He did come down really low. We were on a canopy walkway, so he came down really low, and so we got some nice shots. He's a pretty little bird. I think this is one of my favorite pictures because the leafy, it's a leaf bird and it just blends right into the leaves. Yeah. That is an oriental pied hornbill. That was the most common hornbill we saw. That is I think it's a wrinkled hornbill. or it could be a helmeted hornbill. And that is a whiskered hornbill. And then this next one is the rhinoceros hornbill. That's the one everybody likes to see. We saw quite a few of them. No, I think it's something that the males have that they use for attraction. Yeah. Right? This guy we found, it was at night and he was sleeping. And so he was just there. I just shined a flashlight on it. This squirrel was one of my favorites. That's like a fire red stripe on, it goes from under its chin to all the way down to its lower abdomen. Yeah, we saw this guy, we stayed with him for a while. I have a lot of pictures of him. Oh, and then sun bears, there's sun bears there. And we were at a sun bear rescue place. And so I'm glad that he climbed the tree and got in front of us, because you could, it's the only shot I got of him with that yellow markings. And these are the macaques. I was reminded of rats leaving a sinking ship, because when they came in, they're in large troops. But they're all over the place, and they're kind of photogenic. And then this is a tarsier. So they are a primate, they're a small primate, and they're nocturnal. They hang out on the trees, just like that, but really low in the trees. So, we can kind of catch them as we're going along with our flashlights. Okay, so now I'm going to just start to talk about some of the specific species. Rafflesia kethii, this is a flowering parasitic endemic plant, or plant that's endemic to Borneo. It is one of the corpse flowers. So they are since they're parasitic, they don't have roots, they don't have leaves, so they grow on another plant, and it's a very specific plant that they grow on, and they get their nutrients from that other plant. They just suck them out of the other plant. The Rafflesia species have the largest single flower of any plant species in the world. The record is 3.5 feet in diameter and weighed 24 pounds. So they're pretty big. It is one of 2 genera that are commonly referred to as the corpse flower, because they do smell like rotten meat when they're in bloom, and that's because the smell attracts flies for pollination. The other is so it's the Rafflesia, and then the other one is this Amorphophallus titanium. Don't ask me how long it took me to learn to pronounce that. But that one has been successfully cultivated in botanical gardens. So those are the ones that people flock to see at various gardens throughout the world. Rafflesia has never been cultivated, and it has not, it's not that they haven't tried. So, but it is celebrated in Malaysian Borneo, and they've realized that it's an important source of revenue. People who are really into corpse flowers will travel to Borneo just to see these, and sometimes they go home without seeing them. So the status is not good. There's 42 different species, and 25 of them are critically endangered. 15 are classified as endangered, and 2 are vulnerable. So yeah, not good news. They do recognize that habitat protection is the best tool to conserve them, and Malaysia is actually doing an okay job at that. Sarawak, they're listed as total protected plants, but Sabah went further and also protected the host plant, because without the host plant, they can't survive. I got lucky. I got to see two. So there's this booth here. I had hired a guide. This was after our main trip, and I had hired a guide to go to a botanical garden and then a butterfly garden. And I really wanted to see the butterfly garden. And it was a 2.5-hour drive from from the city where I was staying. And we got there and it was closed. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So the guide said, we went to the botanical garden, and while we were looking around, he called. So what the guides all do is they call this place and they find out if anything's in bloom that day. And he got off the phone. He was so excited. I have never seen anybody this excited over a plant. And I thought that I should get excited too. He said, there's two in bloom, and one of them is just bloomed today. So they only bloom for 7 days. And in the course of that 7 days, they get bad fast. So we got a first day and a second day bloom. This one is the first day, this one's the second day. And so I did a close-up of the second day. You can see it's already starting to lose some flesh here. I also like this because you can see the inside. But yeah, just the difference. They're big. These two didn't smell because they're pretty new, but in another day or two, they would be pretty ripe from what I understand.
Wow, how big were those?
Well, let's see. Yeah. Not the biggest ones, but they're a good size. Okay, next is the pygmy elephant. It's also called the Borneo pygmy elephant, and it is the smallest elephant in Asia. I think that makes it the smallest elephant in the world, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But it does differ genetically from other Asian elephants due to isolation, because they were on the island. Let's see. They are found in Sabah and the Indonesian sections of Borneo. And like all elephants, they're social animals and they live in matriarchal groups. So the family units are mothers, sisters, daughters, and immature males. Once the males mature, they tend to live more solitarily. They travel a lot, 25 to 30 miles a day. They are endangered. And the main threats include habitat loss due to logging and deforestation. That pushes the remaining elephants into more populated areas where there are human-wildlife conflicts because they trample the crops. So what do they do? So, I just put this here. This is kind of where their range is in Sabah. So conservation efforts, again, habitat protection is and restoration is very important, but they also are mitigating human-wildlife conflicts. So when people lose crops, they get paid for the crops that are lost, and that probably helps people from killing the elephants, hopefully. They are combating illegal poaching. We all know that the ivory trade, there's a ban on ivory. And promoting sustainable land use practices so they don't have to keep cutting things down. We got to see two of them for about 10 minutes. These are terrible pictures, but they're the best pictures I have of Bornean elephants. They love to swim. They're in the water a lot, and it was dark. It was the end of the day. It was dark, and again, I had to pull out the shadows. I didn't know that last picture. This one here, I didn't know if I got the face or the butt, honestly. It was that dark. So I was happy to see it was the face. Okay, langurs. There's two species of langurs that we saw, the red leaf and the silver leaf. They are found in Borneo and on an island that's off the coast of Borneo. They are social creatures. They live in groups between 2 and 13. We saw they were probably closer to the 13 side with the ones that we saw. Threats include hunting for meat and traditional medicine, and of course, habitat loss due to deforestation, mostly from palm oil plantations. This is good. This is what we want to see. They're least concern, but the numbers are decreasing. So, but because they're least concern, there's no conservation efforts specifically for them. They're just going to benefit from habitat protection. This is a little gray leaf Borneo Langer on his mother's lap. He was cute and fun to watch. And then these are the red leaf. They were hanging around the lodge we were at in Dana Valley. I have a lot of these that have only like half the picture. This is when the it was either the writing to the card or the shutter problem. North Borneo gibbons, these are fun. They're the most common, or the second most common primate after the langurs. They also live in small family groups, but they're arboreal and they move. So they live in the trees. They rarely come down to the ground, and they use brachiation for traveling. So they swing from branch to branch with their arms. And they can move pretty quick with that. They can move up to 35 miles an hour just swinging from branch to branch. They're very comfortable up there. I was watching them move around and reach over and stuff that would have me like clinging to the tree. And they're just, not at all worried about the height that they're at. They love figs. I learned that figs are actually a wild tree. There's something like 20 species of fig plants at least in northern Borneo. Interesting, the hornbills are known to follow the gibbons because as the gibbons are foraging in the trees, they're fleshing out insects, and the hornbills will eat the insects. And that's where I got a lot of the rhinoceros hornbill photos that we saw. Oh, I got some audio. I took this off the internet. That was not supposed to happen. That's supposed to go right to the, yeah. This is not the right one. Wow. Okay, that worked before. Let me see if I can get it back up. It was supposed to go right to the. Yeah, there we go. So this is the gibbon sound. That whoop, whoop. Gets louder in a minute. That. I thought that would be fun to include. All this stuff pops up. Okay. Okay, so they're listed as endangered. Surprise, surprise, biggest threat, deforestation and forest fragmentation and the pet trade. They are listed in CITES Appendix 1, so those are the ones that are most endangered. So they are protected throughout their range. And fortunately for them, they are found in several already existing protected areas. But the one thing that I found when I was doing the research on this was in 2023, so just a couple of years ago, Sabah was a gibbon rehabilitation center open in Sabah. So it's relatively new, but it's a step in the right direction, especially because I'm sure there's a lot of orphaned gibbons due to the pet trade. So I only have a couple of pictures of those that I'm showing, but yeah, they kind of hang out in the trees. See how he's just like reaching and, just very comfortable. And then that's how they move, just like that. The proboscis monkey. These are really fun. They're endemic to Borneo, and they're mostly found in the coastal areas and along riverbanks. They are one of the largest monkeys in Asia, and they have pronounced sexual dimorphism, which means the male is very large. It's like twice the size of the females. The males also have a very large nose where the females don't. They are also arboreal, but they move quadrupedally, which means that they use their hands and their arms and their legs to just climb along the branches. But they also leap, and they jump from tree to tree. It's amazing. They're good swimmers. They have webbed feet and webbed hands, and they often swim across rivers, which makes them great crocodile food. Yeah, so in some of the places, because they're endangered, they actually have, they've actually strung lines across the river from one side to the other so that the monkeys can use them. So they have a very, very strict diet. They like unripe fruit and young leaves and twigs. That diet means that they have never been able to be kept alive in captivity because their diet is so specialized, they die if they don't get the exact nutrients. They are endangered. In the last 36 to 40 years, which is about 3 of their generations, their population has decreased more than 70%. Surprise, habitat loss due to logging and palm oil plantations. It's also considered a delicacy, so it is hunted for meat, but it's also used in traditional Chinese medicine. So it is listed in CITES Appendix 1, but its legal protection is suffering from a lack of funds and poor management. But it is found in 16 existing protected areas, so that is good news for it. But again, it's not a good captive candidate for captive breeding, so that it's got a bit of a disadvantage there. But I did want to highlight Labic Bay Proboscis Monkey Sanctuary. This is a male. It's got the Jimmy Durante nose. So Labic Bay it's a palm oil plantation, but back in 97 and 98, there was a severe El Nino, and Borneo had a drought. This ever wet zone had a drought, and it was affecting the when there's a drought, trees don't fruit, and they just can keep everything just to survival. They don't try to propagate. So their food source was affected by the drought. And the owners of this plantation kind of felt sorry for them, especially they were breaking into the pantry of the plantation. And instead of killing them, they felt sorry for them. So they figured out how to supplement their diet. And I'm not sure, because maybe it's just because it's supplementing it and they're not existing completely on it. They were able to help these monkeys out. And so they decided to turn their plantation, part of their plantation, into a proboscis monkey sanctuary. They now have 300 monkeys that live there. And the sanctuary part has grown to 500 acres, and they've planted 50,000 trees. So that is really awesome. We did see a lot of these guys along the rivers, so they were fun.
Acid tails.
Okay, and finally, the orangutan. So the orangutan is Asia's only great ape, and it's also the world's largest animal that lives in trees, which I think is kind of cool. It means person of the forest, and it's only found in Borneo and Sumatra, so it's very limited range. They have opposable thumbs and toes. And again, they're arboreal, and so they live up in the trees, and they eat fruits and shoots and leaves and insects and saps and vines and birds' eggs and spiders' webs and fungi and flowers and bark. So they don't have a specialized diet. They are highly intelligent and use tools and show distinct cultural patterns in the wild, which I thought was cool. I have, let's see if we can get this one to work. This is a male orangutan. When we were at one of the conservation centers, there was a male that was,
YouTube, gotta love it.
yeah, it's supposed to go right to it. Let's see what we can do. I keep going to the wrong side to shut this down. There was a male orangutan that was calling while we were walking through the forest to this area where we could see the orangutans, and it echoed through the forest, and you just knew it was something big. Let's see, yeah, they have a variety of calls. That's the one. That one. That, yeah. You just knew, that just kind of echoed, and you just knew it was something big. I think I took video, audio of that on my cell phone. But when I was trying to make room, I thought that I was just like, had nothing, no photo or video on it, and I forgot I took audio and I deleted it. So I had to find it on YouTube. So these unfortunately are critically endangered. Their biggest loss, the biggest threat is habitat loss due to deforestation, wildfire, and illegal hunting. Between 1950 and 2010, their population has decreased by 60%. They estimated a further 22% by 2025. That was an estimation back in 2010. I don't know if that came true or not, but if it did, that's 82% in 75 years. But if you go back to 1903, they've lost 97% of their population, and that is really hard to overcome. Poaching is a big problem. They are protected in all 3 countries, but this is one area where their habitat may not be protected. In Sabah, 20% of their habitat is not protected. And in Indonesia, 80% is not. And that's not good news. But there are a lot of almost every place that we saw that was advertising organizations was orangutan conservation. So they know, I mean, it's a big draw. I mean, it got me there. I can't be the only one that goes there to see the orangutans. But I did want to highlight this one, Sepalak Orangutan Rehabilitation Center. They rehabilitate and provide a refuge for orphaned orangutans, either naturally orphaned or through the pet trade. And they are found within a forest reserve. So as they're rehabilitating, as the orangutan grows up enough, and they release it into that surrounding reserve, they are able to train it to take care of itself and be in the wild before they're moved elsewhere. It's also really close to Sandakan, which is a place where you can fly in from Kuala Lumpur. So it is a place that if you're not going to go out to the actual jungles, you can see orangutans. And these are wild ones that live in the surrounding forest. They're kind of released out there. They're living independently, but they are given food supplement twice a day. It's monotonous food. It's not something that they really like, but they do that on purpose so that it encourages the orangutans to forage on their own. But it does give us a lot of opportunity for some close-up views and some portraits. So this is the play area for, these are all orphaned youngsters. And I apologize, I didn't think about taking video until it was just about time for us to leave, and I was not in a great spot, but I got some video of baby orangutans playing. So, but then, why am I doing this? Okay, so these next few portrait ones are from the food station. And they never know how many are going to come, just the ones that are hungry. But this mother showed up with her baby, and we got some really fun. He was fun to watch. He was hanging upside down. He was crawling over mom. And you could just see her, like, she'd grab a foot and pull him back, or I mean, it's just great. And then the rest of these are in the wild. These are away from that area, so these are genuinely wild. But these are the ones that I had to open up the shadows. I didn't know if I had an orangutan or not. So and I think this one's my favorite, because you see, this is what I was shooting through to just try and get them. Okay, so that's kind of the end. If you're interested, Borneo is a great place. I do recommend it if you like to travel or you're not too worried about going to somewhere hot and humid. It's doable. If I could handle it, I think anybody can. The Gettles, I do recommend them. It was a great trip. They're wonderful people. They're going back to Borneo in 2027. And they're including a pre-trip to the Indonesian part. That was not something that I went on their first real trip. They had done the year before they had done a kind of a casing trip. They just went to see if it was something they could do. And then I did this. This was their first one. So yeah, I would, if I had time and money, I'd go back. But my time and money are going other places. So anyway. I hope that wasn't too boring.
Thanks, Gayle.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any member slides.
No, we did not.
So we have lots of time to ask questions about Borneo, or Gayle oftentimes gives really good travel tips.
Yeah.
So if, we got plenty of time for questions. If you're a member and you didn't get your raffle ticket, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll drop one off. And then yeah, fire away to Gayle. Did you fly into Singapore?
No, I flew from here to Seattle to San Francisco to Hong Kong to Kuala Lumpur and then over to Borneo. Yeah, I overnighted in Kuala Lumpur, which was a really good thing to do. Because I got in around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I was able to hang out I got a room at the airport hotel, which is the first time I've done that. So that's now the thing I'm going to do from now on. I have that in Santiago, and yeah, hung out at the pool for a few hours, had a drink, had some chicken wings, decided to go take a nap, and slept until 3 in the morning, and boom, I'm on Borneo time or Malaysian time. So that worked out really well.
Can you drive to the Bantam Valley, or you were flying?
We drove. Yeah, we drove. Yeah, the only time we flew out of there, because we had to get back over to Kota Kinabalu for the trip that was kind of the last day.
Can you say all the places?
I was in, oh God, I don't remember the first place where we were at, but it was right outside of Sandakan, then we went to see Sepalak, and then Labuk Bay, proboscis monkey. Then we went to Sukau, which is a lodge on the river I never could figure out how to pronounce. Yes, that one. And then we went from there to Tabin Wildlife Refuge, and then we went to Danam Valley, and then back to Kota Kinabalu, and I stayed there five extra days, and traveled out there and did day trips out of there. Thanks, thanks.
Was language a problem, Emma?
No, no, they, Malaysia was a, yes, colonized. Yeah, so they have everything in, Malay, Chinese, Mandarin, 2 Chinese languages, and English. Yeah, no, language was, there was one driver I had that wasn't real good at English, but we figured it out. Yeah. Okay.
Did you do any tours, like, I mean, it can't be overstated how bad the palm oil plantation.
Yes,
was. Did they take you through any?
No, no, I-
Because
no.
Violet doesn't have it.
yeah, yeah, and some of the places we were driving, like outside of Tabin, there were palm oil plantations, and so along the fence, we got some really nice bird pictures. Yeah, and we had hoped to see some elephants, but didn't, just saw them in the river, so.
What about critter bites or anything like that?
Leeches. Yeah, there's, well, in Danum Valley, there's a lot of leeches, and we all wore leech socks, but we still got leech. One, I didn't get bit, but I had them on me. Okay, so leech sock, it goes on over, it's like this big cotton boot for your feet, and it comes up over your knee, and you can just cinch it up over your knee, but so it keeps your lower leg free from leeches.
My experience with leech socks is it just gives them something to hang on to so that they can
Yeah.
catch the rest of your body.
Yeah, but some of the local guides, I remember one of the local guides, he took his flip flop off, and he was like covered in leech bites. He was just, they bleed a lot. I mean, it is what it is, but
I've too many.
yeah.
If you just let them do their thing and fall off,
It doesn't hurt. Yeah. Oh,
They put an anticoagulant in when they disconnect from me. So if you pick them off, you bleed. If you just let them do their thing and fall off, they don't bleed.
oh wow, that's interesting. I was actually disappointed. I was looking forward to leech bites just because I had never. No, they're yeah. So
Maybe that, yeah.
The
that might be-
deforestation, is it primarily for agriculture that they're?
yeah, palm oil,
they're-
palm oil. Yeah. Who else? Yeah. Oh, I took malarial pills, and I was due for my typhoid shot, so I got that. But all the other ones, like yellow fever, I've had that shot, so I didn't have to get any new ones other than the typhoid booster and then the malarial pills. Yeah. But if you've never been to the tropics, there's yellow fever, they want you to have Hep A and Hep B, and I mean, there's shots. So they were in the rooms. Yeah. Probably both. I'm, what?
Spiders in your room?
I didn't see any spiders in the room. Just the ones hanging around outside, and they were, I mean, they were big spiders, and they were pretty cool. But
Poisonous?
I have no idea. I didn't test it out. That's something I don't know. I know what a black widow looks like. I know what a brown recluse looks like, and those are the ones I have to worry about in the US. But other than that, I don't really know. So I just try and stay away from them.
Did you, so you got a lot of pictures of like young or juvenile or female, right? Have you seen any like big males?
No, didn't see that. So that first one I showed of the wild ones, that was kind of far away. That one had the flange face, but you couldn't tell because he had a branch in front of his face. No, no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted the male because like when we were walking through that forest, we could hear, and it was just, yeah, it was. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Alan.
You mentioned your orangutans use tools. What sort of tools do they use?
I mean, basically anything that chimps will do. They're
Yeah.
arguably smarter than all the other
Yeah.
grade apes. They're kind of the lesser known, but they use twigs, they use sticks. They've been
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
There was a paper published where they think they were trying to fish. They're trying to hit things in water with a stick.
Oh, cool. Well, and they just released a paper, it came out like a month after I got back, where they were showing the orangutans using various plants to help heal their wounds.
Super complicated.
Oh, yeah.
One of the big trees in Indonesia, maple leaf.
Mm,
Photos of them trying to.
Cool.
make it fruit.
cool. Yeah, and they live in a wet zone. Who else had? Ready? All right. Well, thank you.
And don't forget the Prince William Sound.
Yes.
So John said he's gonna sign up.
So you're, Ben.
I'll send
Yeah,
you,
nice to meet you.
I've seen you.
Yeah, yeah. I actually went down to your office the other day when you sent me the Teams thing, but you weren't in.
I'll take
Yeah,
this.
you're upstairs, right? Yeah, so you're in Dave Evans' old office.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was our last presentation. Season. We typically take the summer off and jump back to it
I lost my thing.
in October. Those of you guys who are new, or this might be your first time coming to support Gayle. And if you'd like to become a member, if you're interested in join, I think it's just $30 a year, Glenn?
25.
20?
So we
30,
just
30,
raised it, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
see, I don't even know.
and you don't have to be a member, you can just come.
Yeah,
Used to be 25.
open to everybody, but our raffle, and we do have a lot of, you're an ASONP member, you get
That's
discounts
my
on
thing.
coatings. So we do have this outing coming up. And
I don't have
we
a.
didn't mention it earlier, but we have
Fine.
Alaska Wild books for sale for the past, I think we have 24 through maybe some of the earlier ones, 2012.
No,
So those
I
go
don't
on
have my
sale
ticket
after
anymore.
after a while. I think they're $20 for the books, but for our drawing today, we have a bundle of photo paper. We have an REI gift card, and then we just had a monopod that was donated as
Oh.
well. So we get.
I lost my ticket. Can I get a new ticket?
Take those.
Okay, take this one.
And have Gayle
I can try
for
it.
us. All right, last three ending in 672.
672, I think that's.
Yes,
I
it
told
is.
you
Look
that
at that.
Where you did, right when you gave it to me. I like it. Yeah, I'll take that. Is that the gift certificate?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
Last
go.
three, 669.
Yeah.
Yeah, photo paper or monopod?
You check it, I don't have my glasses.
Yeah, we got it.
I don't want to
Keep
be.
this guy honest.
Mm.
That's you.
All right.
Cool. Okay, this next person, I hope you have a photo printer. Last three, 673.
I wonder if that.
Do you
was-
know anybody that does? I guess we'll keep drawing.
Do an Alaska Wild book or something.
Yeah, you want an Alaska Wild book? Yeah,
There you go.
go ahead.
Last three for this one, photo paper, 670.
All right.
All right, we're done early, guys. Thank you so
There you go.
much. Another round of applause for Gayle. And we'll hope to see you guys this summer. If not, see you in October.
Very